I'm Scott Hess, tax and business consultant.
I'm John Barton, small business owner. Remember the tortoise and the hare? Slow and steady wins the race.
We started Turtlesmith to help people start small businesses, providing information and resources to small business owners and entrepreneurs.
Build a solid foundation and forge your dreams.
Hey, welcome to Turtlesmith Live. My name is Scott Hess. I am a tax and business consultant. With me is John Barton.
I am a serial entrepreneur or a serial killer, depending on my pantry, if you see it.
What? What's in the pantry that would cause people to
Every
think you're a
brand of
serial
cereal, and that's what I eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I gotcha. Ha! Clever.
I need to find, I have a t-shirt that says that.
Yeah?
Serial killer.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Well, today we are going to talk a little bit about the top businesses that you can start for under $1,000, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this, just me and you a couple times, you know, and we've even talked about like going out and finding somebody and like staking them to start one of these businesses.
To be honest with you, if you're in the Oklahoma City area and you have dreamed of starting your own business, hit up Turtlesmith. We might be able to help you out.
Yeah, we might be able to, you know.
Yeah, we might even get one that we can follow along and see how it does.
But it looks like we got like, we've identified like 10 businesses here that you could pretty much start for under $1,000.
These are the top 10 ones that Calvin had got for us. And I'm going to tell you a couple of them I know for a fact can make a killing. Because I do the accounting and taxes for a few people who do it. So just run through the list real quick and give me your just quick thoughts. Pet waste removal service.
Okay, pet waste removal, I think, is the epitome of a society that just does not want, just will pay for the shit that they don't want to deal with. Literally the shit they don't want to deal with. Like this business right here, the first time I saw it, that it was actually a business, that people are doing this, I was like, who on earth is paying for this?
Oh, I'm one of those people.
And then I got dogs.
Yeah.
And they shit all over the yard, and I don't want to go out there and find it all. Now, I have not paid for it yet because I still have hope that I can get my children to do these chores.
Oh, I've met your children. Good luck with that.
Yeah. Well, I finally did get one of them to get out there and do a half-ass job the other day. So, I mean, I feel like a tenth better as a parent. But it is absolutely true that there are plenty of people making good money who are willing to pay for people to go out and pick up their dog shit.
Yeah, and this one could get started for literally as little as $100. Go out and get a couple tools, some bags, gloves, and as long as you got a transportation to get
Advertise
there.
on Facebook
Or even if you don't have
Marketplace.
transportation, you can just start in your little area, your neighborhood or whatever. But it is absolutely a thing that you can do. You can also contact apartment buildings or large property developments and work with them
Now,
if you get good enough with it.
I would add on to that though, that a side, or not a side business, but a complementary business to that would be like dog walking.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
We,
right?
we have that. That's actually number 4 on our list is pet sitting and dog walking.
Correct. So those two, those things together, pet sitting, dog walking, and removal service, I think they all dovetail really well.
Yep.
And so all of them are cheap businesses that you can do. I mean, pet sitting, sometimes you end up, people say, move into my house for a week or two,
right,
so you can take care of my animals,
right,
and you end up in a mansion.
And they got a couple apps for that, Rover or WAG with a little exclamation. Honestly, it's a zero investment deal. It's just, you're just selling your time. You don't have to have anything.
I had a friend up in Oregon who did that, like overnight sitting and stuff for mostly, like you said, a lot of rich families. So,
well, I mean, they're the ones who want that.
There was some good money in it for her.
Yeah. So next one on our list, we got residential and commercial cleaning. I think this one's also a pretty good one, but I'm not sure if in every state you can get away with less than $1,000. I think in some places you have to be insured and bonded.
Yeah, especially, people are generally kind of wary about who they let into their house.
Oh, everybody seems to have a story about a cleaning lady or somebody stealing from them.
Yeah, and so that's one of those things where companies like Mary Maids and places like that, they are insured and bonded. You know, they're going to be a little bit more expensive.
Well, and
in
then
general.
as the worker, they take a cut of your fee too. So
Yeah, but if you can set yourself up and kind of prove to people that you're trustworthy enough and you're dependable. Now, one of the things about residential and commercial cleaning is that very often the first time a person comes over, they will do a great job.
Mm-hmm.
And then it will get progressively worse, and then you'll end up with excuses of, I can't come in, my parrot is sick or whatever.
Right.
And so this is one where success as a cleaner, I think, really hinges on being able to provide that service as promised. When you promise you're going to do it, and so it might be something where even though you can start it with less than $1,000, you might want to find a few friends who can take up the slack on the schedule.
Yeah, or just don't take so much that you can't handle it. Build a business plan and build a budget. How many clients can you take on?
Exactly.
And that's what you need to do. And that's a great point. When I judge a cleaner or something of that nature, I never judge them on the first time, because the first time is always great. You got to judge them on the 10th or 20th time and see if they're still doing a great job for you. But anyway, look into your local and state requirements on that one before you just jump into cleaning, because some states I'm imagining require some type of insurance and bonding.
I think that most people would look at that and think cleaning, it's easy, right?
It is
literally, you can just go to the dollar store and spend $10 and get a whole bunch of cleaning supplies.
Yeah,
and everything.
From a startup point, it is easy, but the work is not easy.
Well, this is what I was going to get at, and this will come into play a little bit more when we get through this list. The internet today provides massive amounts of tutorials of people who are doing these jobs, all these jobs on this list, as to what are best practices, what works best, what's most efficient. Cleaning is going to be a thing where you're going to be driving around town, so you're going to have to watch your gas, so you're going to have to be able to schedule your stops and everything.
Got to have a little logistics.
And, you're going to be able to want to get in and get out pretty quickly.
Right.
When at one point we hired the Merry Maids and people like that, these people would show up in a car with 4 or 5 people in a car and swarm our house, and they'd be done in 20 minutes.
Right.
And off to the next job.
Mm-hmm. Well, time is money in those deals.
But then if we have one person doing it, they might be there for 3 hours.
Right. Well, next one on the list is virtual assistant. Now, I do not like this one.
No.
You are competing with people from overseas who will work for $5 an hour, $6 an hour, sometimes even less in certain parts of the world, and they'll do probably a pretty close to as good a job as you can do. Now, you can absolutely become a virtual assistant working from home with all the new stuff happening. New software developments. It is possible. You can help with scheduling. You can do all kinds of stuff, but it's a tough one to get into.
I don't feel like that's really a startup under $1,000, because I feel like
you think about a computer too.
Well, I just it's not because of that, because you can get computers, that are, for a couple $100, you can get a Chromebook that'll do all the scheduling you want.
Yeah.
But I feel like that the assistant part of it is the issue.
Okay.
Is that what exactly are you bringing to the table? Are you going to learn about the person's business that you're assisting, or the person, and there's a lot of little things that go on with that. How much does the assistant need to be empowered?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's the virtual assistant thing is tough.
Yeah. Are they allowed to spend money on your behalf?
Right. Yeah.
Things
a lot
like
of questions.
That. So I think that one is one that I personally would not recommend to people to do as a startup under 1,000.
I don't recommend it either. Next one would be social media management, which I think that's a fine one. That is something, if you are pretty slick at social media, or even editing videos or doing short clips, things like that. As long as you have the creative skills and the technical expertise to do a good job, I think that can be a thing that can be done.
That one I think can be good, especially these days. My kids are able to do pretty slick editing on videos on their phones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot of guys like us who just I don't know anything about it. So I absolutely have to hire somebody to do all my social media stuff.
Well, especially with the AI tools that are available today. So, even if you're I think of it like this. If you are an experienced graphic designer or whatever, or you're able to teach yourself enough to be useful and productive, then you probably have a leg up on using like the AI tools as well.
I agree
for that. So as long as you're an organized person who can do what you say and get these posts up on time for people, so they start to see some engagement.
Yep.
But that is a little bit of a learning curve too, as well, to learn how to put it up and when, and you know, the best. And once again, the internet provides you all that information.
It's not just like doing your own social media. Like if you're good at your own Facebook or Instagram, that doesn't really translate to the business. You've got to learn the algorithm. You got to learn what hits for businesses, how to advertise and all that stuff. So there is a lot to go into it, but I do think that is absolutely a business. You could start with a phone, and a cheap phone and a cheap laptop, and you're off to the races.
I think we need to differentiate a little bit when we talk about these $1,000, startups. Some of these things require the acquisition of some skill.
Correct.
And that's that skill acquisition.
I'm sorry. I think most businesses, I mean, even pet waste removal and cleaning, and well, I mean, maybe not pet sitting or dog walking, but you got to have some skills.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that none of them have skills, but some of them are going to require some higher level skills and some higher level cognition.
Yeah, social media management is definitely one of those.
Literally anybody but a blind person can walk through a backyard and clean up poop.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
speaking of technical skills, the next one, freelance writing and editing. You have to have some writing skills to be able to pull this off effectively. I know there's a lot of AI tools out there that can help you write stuff, but if you really want to pursue this, writing skills to produce content, reports, or copy for clients, even doing little websites and stuff like that, you've got to have some skills as a writer.
Right. But that is something that can be, that you can literally start up without much effort, and without a lot of payment if you have those skills and those talents.
Mm-hmm. The next one, too, requires a lot of skill, which is online tutoring. So platforms like tutor.com, they allow you to teach subjects or help with test prep. There's sometimes no upfront investment as long as you have some kind of computer or access, webcam usually, to tutor people. But you got to have the skills. I mean, you've got to know what you're talking about. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could fake it till you make it on some of these, but you better be careful teaching algebra if you don't know algebra.
Well, I think that would be pretty apparent because whoever you're teaching it to, if you're teaching them wrong, they would not get very good scores on the test.
There you go. Yeah, right away. Oh, before we jump into the last three, which I love, these are all three my favorite, and I want to spend just a hair more time on them. We've always had a fun idea for less than $1,000. Granted, you probably need some type of transportation, but curb painting. I've seen that a couple times come 100%. Up on my TikTok and stuff like that. And the curb painting, just some stencils and spray paint, and you're off to the races.
You know what? On the curb painting as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a guy that tried to do that, but he couldn't do his stencils.
Yeah.
So he always came to me and wanted me to use my laser cutter to make him stencils.
Oh, yeah.
But check this out. You can find cheap cry cuts, vinyl cutters on just everywhere, for as low as $20.
Right.
And these things are perfectly good enough to cut your stencils and make them. And you just got to invest a little bit of time to learn how to do it.
And when we're talking about curb painting, we're not talking about like the big long yellow painting that is done by a machine. We're just talking about like the numbers for people like to put the address on, which honestly is needed more and more for Amazon deliveries and stuff like that. Having a good clear picture of your number.
It's very important for emergency services, for delivery services and everything else. And also a lot of people will pay a little extra to show off their sports team allegiances or their military service.
I was about to say that. Yeah, as you get a little better at it, you can do little fancy designs and some other cool stuff.
And once again, this is one of them where the internet is full of wonderful tutorials. I mean, you'll see some of these guys on there. They're really good artists.
Yeah. I think the hardest part you're going to find about that one is just getting the customers. So you got to put a little bit of money into advertising, flyers, getting out there, getting your name
door
out
to
there.
door, man.
Yeah.
Now just be careful if you do door to door because some municipalities have laws against solicitation.
Yeah, and
so
some
you have to go get a little license to do that. So it's worth it. I think that if they catch you, you only get a ticket or something, but you still want to be on the right side of these things.
And we can drop some flyers off in mailboxes or whatever. Pretty easy.
Not allowed to put them in mailboxes.
Oh, are you not?
Because it's a federal thing.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you can't mess with people's mailbox. All right, don't listen to me. You'll go to jail. Sorry. All right, well, these last three that I really like. The first one is reselling and thrifting. Now, you have got to have some skill in knowing what to buy. But if you are good enough to identify stuff in thrift shops and on eBay or on Facebook Marketplace that are undervalued, this really works. Now, I have a client who specializes in like vintage t-shirts and vintage albums and stuff and books. He bought me a bunch of old D&D books as a gift. Greatest gift I've ever gotten from a client because I'm a D&D nerd. But the reselling and thrifting, he makes a killing on. He does really, really well. And because he's identified a little niche of stuff that he has a knowledge of. And when he goes to thrift shops, he finds things that are underpriced and resells them on eBay.
Yeah, I mean, that is that's a little bit saturated, but I still think there's plenty of room in the market, for that. I mean, out in Vegas, for example, they have a big Goodwill out there that just has a bin. They call it a bin store where they just throw everything in the bins. They got one in Oklahoma City too.
Yeah, tons of those here.
And well, no, it's a different type of bin store. Theirs are like these big rolling kind of containers that they just roll out all the stuff in. And people just swarm it.
Yeah.
The other type of bin stores are the ones that get like the Amazon returns,
right.
Whole.
That's what I think you were talking
about.
Whole
pallets of that. Yeah, I know that's what you thought. So out in Vegas, though, these guys are pros.
Right.
So they got whole teams doing this, know, and they go and get all this stuff, and then a lot of times they'll grab stuff. They'll photograph it, everything. They'll sell it before they even have to go pay for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of the reselling and thrifting, I know a bunch of guys who made some money doing couch refurbishment. So they would find couches basically for free or stuff that people were putting on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace that like, I just want this out of my house. They would go get it, they would clean it up, and then they'd flip them for $100 or something. Now,
there was a store.
Got to have a truck or something for that, but still.
There's a store in Midwest City where that's what the owner of the store does. She literally goes out and finds junk on the side of the road, or she'll find garage sales or whatever and buy it cheap, and then she'll go and she'll paint it and she'll finish it, and it'll be all whimsical, like one will be like turquoise and butterflies or whatever, very cute stuff, and buy and do it. And we've got some of the furniture in our house was like that we bought from people.
It is not a bad business. You can really do well.
There's across the parking lot here is a place called Stephanie's Vintique over here. She specializes. Part of a portion of her store is dedicated towards these special fabric paints that you can take and just literally paint on an old chair or something like that, and essentially reupholster it with paint.
Yeah,
and it literally feels like fabric when it's done.
That's super interesting.
It's very durable.
Well, my biggest tip on the reselling and thrifting is find a niche that works for you. Find something that you have some knowledge of. There's a lot of people doing like Pokemon cards on Whatnot and all that stuff, but just find something that you have some knowledge about, and that's what you should be looking for. Yeah, vintage cooking utensils, vintage clothes, vintage records, just something that you have an interest in, and that makes it kind of a nicer deal.
Yeah, the phones these days make it so freaking easy to take a picture of something and get information on it. I mean, it's totally transformed that part of the business.
All right, the next one is a little bit more complicated, and this is called when you do arbitrage. Basically, it's called a local service arbitrage. But there's a lot of construction guys who do some of this stuff. There's a lot of this in real estate, and this is kind of a more quietly kept one. But basically, you coordinate local services. So you work with a handful of landscapers who do the work, or a handful of cleaning companies that do the work. You go out and sell the jobs and then hire subcontractors to do the work for you. So you don't actually do any of the cleaning. You don't do any of the landscaping. You just work with you work with companies or individuals who are already excited to do this kind of work, and they have a price in mind. You schedule it, answer the phones, talk to the customers, mark up a little bit of the price, and then they go out and get it done.
So I'm on the fence about this one because I have found in the past that people who have done this they tend to promise things that they can't actually deliver because the contractors that they're hiring don't want to do it that way or can't do it that way or are already busy, you know.
I'm with you.
And so that one I would say is carries a lot more risk with it.
Well, it can carry a little bit of, customer perception risk. And as a consumer, those are some definite concerns that if somebody's doing this kind of arbitrage, are you actually going to get the service they perform? But as a business, if you set it up correctly and you have good vendors who are actually doing the work and you have a good system and an easy way for them to schedule, it does work. You can make some money.
I think that one way to say this would be instead of thinking about it in terms of setting it up for the consumers, if you offer those services to the people who can provide the actual physical work, that I think has more of a potential, to work for you. Well,
it does have a potential, but this is a tried and true thing that has been done, and I know some people have made some.
Oh, I see it all the time. Whenever I look for something, I just Google it or something. Then the first 3 or 4 listings will be obvious, like handyman in your area or something like that, or whatever it is, any kind of service like that. And you're clearly calling one of these services. Now they may be like a national one.
Right.
But that's what they're doing is basically they're the ones that are ingesting your interest as a consumer and parceling it out to whomever they feel like calling and saying, hey, you guys got time to go do this for this person.
Correct. Yeah. But you are spot on if you're going to do it yourself, and you can figure out a way to get vendors excited to work with you by offering some kind of, better scheduling for them, better work, new customers, all that stuff. They're going to be excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of went over this ourselves, with one of our business ideas. I'm not going to get too detailed into it, but we were talking about the logistics of whether we have the people ourselves on our own payroll who do this types of services, or whether we have to contract it out and what problems come with that.
Right. Yeah.
So that's one I would say to people, be a little bit more careful about that. But I do agree with you that it's tried and true in the sense that if you can capture the interest, you can probably capture the job as long as you can deliver what you promise.
Yeah. The last one, and I know you have some strong opinions about this because you've had some bad experiences, but mobile car detailing is the last one on our top 10 list. I have a client who does that. He started off doing it himself, and now he's got about 7 people working for him, all who do this mobile car detailing. Now, he does a fantastic job. His company is well known. They have a good reputation. He makes sure that jobs are done correctly. But I do agree with what you were saying before the show is that you've had some bad experiences with these mobile car detailers. They come in and just do a half-assed job.
Yeah, and then they actually some of them actually get pissy when you complain about it. You're like, why does my window have streaks and stuff like that? I mean, I could have done that. And that's another one right here where I feel like there's just no excuse for doing a bad job because the internet is full of tips and tricks and best practices. These guys love. One cool thing about this is that a lot of these things on here and a lot of these kind of side hustles and businesses that you can start, you can get business by showing people how good of a job you're doing.
Referral is the best way to get new customers.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about referrals here. I'm talking about just showing off, right? What you're doing.
But that's referrals.
And in the act of showing off what they're doing, they are often telling people the practices that they use to get it done. They're saying, I use this product because of this. I do this because of that. And so anybody else could just look at that and say, I'll copy exactly that. This guy does a great job. He's got a whole list of comments and going back to referrals, where in those comments, people are saying, yeah, I used him. He is awesome.
Yep. Yeah. And I think this is one of those deals where you don't necessarily have to have a particular set of skills like some of this other stuff, but you do have to have a particular personality. If you are a fine detail type person, if you get enjoyment from organization and cleaning, if you get a real sense of satisfaction by delivering a good product, this is going to be a great business for you. But if you're like me, I'm not great at that. I just want to get the car washed and be done with it. I'm not great at getting down into the nitty gritty and really the fine details of cleaning, that kind of stuff. And so my personality is just not well suited for it. And I think a lot of people jump into this thinking it's going to be fast and easy money, and they're going to really, make a fortune just washing cars. And that's not the case.
Right.
You got to go the extra mile in this particular one.
You absolutely do if you want to maintain a good reputation.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to add one more to this that's not on this list.
Okay.
And that's going to be home organization, right? Coming into a home and saying, I'm going to organize all your closets. And this goes beyond cleaning, right?
Yeah.
This is one where you go in and you're kind of like a combination of what was Oprah's friend who used to go into the houses and Gail something.
Yeah.
Used to go into people's houses and look at the fact that they had 10 different bottles of cleaning solution and all this because they forgot what they had.
Yeah.
Or I'm sure we've all heard of Marie Kondo, the Japanese lady.
Is that the feng shui deal?
No, not feng shui. It's
the energy?
Does it bring you joy, lady?
Oh yeah.
And the thing about that is that a lot of people are not that organized on their own.
Mm-hmm.
But once something is organized, they can maintain it, to a semi-proficient level, but they don't know where to get started.
Right.
So if you're the kind of that's a job where you could, again, learn everything you need to learn on the internet. You could learn about all the products and all the ways to divide a drawer and to roll up socks and all this other stuff that will truly make someone's life better.
Mm-hmm.
And they're willing to pay you for that.
Yeah, 100%. And again, I think that's not even a skill set. That's just a mindset. You've got to be one of those type of people to be able to do it well.
Yeah, but it is kind of a skill set too.
Because, but I think you can learn all of that pretty easy. So,
like I learned from Marie Kondo how to roll up my underwear.
Okay, fair enough.
And my wife learned, how to buy special drawer inserts that allow it to all be, properly in there. So now when I open it up, I feel great.
That's great. I wonder if you could couple that kind of deal with like some type of organization, system, sales, or something like that.
I imagine you could. Yeah. I don't see any reason why you can't. A lot of these things can be springboards to other things as well.
They can, yeah. Well, anyway, that's our 12 businesses for roughly under $1,000. A lot of those you could start for free. Some of them might be a little more depending on the location and area you're in. But yeah, I don't think there's any excuse right now for people to not be doing some kind of side hustle if they want to. If they need to make extra money, if they want to do something.
Dude, every person almost everybody carries around the equivalent of a supercomputer in their pocket.
That's true.
I mean, this thing right here used to fill up a warehouse, and it still couldn't do as much as this can do.
Yep.
So if you're carrying one of these around and you're bitching about money and you're not using it to do something like on this list, then you need to take a long look in the mirror and figure out what it is you want to do with your life.
My math teacher always told me I'd never carry around a calculator everywhere I went. Did they ever tell you that in school?
Mm-mm.
You had to learn how to do the math by hand because you wouldn't always have a calculator.
Little did they know.
Little did they know. Who looks stupid now?
You still don't have to have a calculator.
Just because I can't do long division on out,
Yeah, you still don't have to have a calculator. You're like, hey, Google, what is 29,462 divided by 444?
Oh, it literally is doing it.
It literally does it right there and tells you.
Man, y'all better leave old Miss Johnson alone. How was she supposed to predict the future?
I don't know. I was just giving her shit.
I don't know. It's kind of like the story of the patent office, head of the patent office, who allegedly said in 1888 or something, everything that can be invented has been invented.
Yeah, that's true. Or the automobile is just a fad; it will never replace the horse.
Or IBM famously saying, when they had the opportunity to make the first desktop computers,
nobody will want one of these.
Nobody will want one of these. Or Xerox.
Yeah.
Xerox with the first UIs saying, they didn't move forward with it, and Microsoft was able to swoop in and take it, and Steve Jobs was able to swoop in and make his version.
It's wild. Well, do we have any questions from the audience or?
Yeah, we have questions, but this week I got to play I've got an intro. I think I'm going to start coming in with a tagline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put this, but
What are we doing?
I'm kind of a big
Don't
deal.
talk through the intro.
I'm very important. I have many leather-bound books, and
Let home get here.
my apartment smells of rich mahogany.
All right, into the questions and answers. Just for you guys, I know you're wondering, that was an Anchorman clip
Oh, okay.
that we programmed. into
Yeah,
the
I mean, I'm
soundboard.
kind of in the dark.
Yeah, we don't have headphones. We're just standing here awkwardly.
That's all right.
Sitting here.
Hey,
Where's my
that's-
Jamie?
I know, right? All right, first question. What are the best ways to advertise these businesses and to get clients quickly?
Yeah, social media is the big winner on advertising, but don't knock some type of physical advertisement. Business cards with a little coupon on them if you're doing something, flyers to hand out if you're allowed in your municipality. But yeah, social media is really the biggest one. And I think you hit the nail on the head with that mobile car detailing where people are showing off the work they're doing. And then people are saying, oh, that looks awesome. Where are you at?
Listen, I have seen these guys just blow up. People will sit there and watch these videos of somebody cleaning a car, and these guys blow up. It's just fascinating.
Yeah. Though Calvin showed us one a long time ago on the car cleaning where the guy takes a picture of like a reflection of a car, and he takes a picture and it looks just like a car. And he's like, man, that's not my car. And then he backs out away from it. And you can the car was so perfectly waxed that the reflection looked like a real picture, and he backs out and he goes, that's your car. It was
Oh,
just
there you go. That's
super
cool.
slick.
See, that's
Super slick.
you can be so creative with that stuff, you know.
And that's what hits nowadays. It's just that little creativity on social media people catch, and now that guy probably has a big business.
There's a guy on there now that I see his feed all the time. He's like talking about how to do a table.
Yeah.
And he like takes a picture of like the table that he's doing, and he's like, this is how the guy before me did it.
Yeah.
And then he takes a picture of how he did it, and he's like, this is how I do it.
Yeah.
And then there will be some discussion from other table, guys will come in and they'll say, well, this is the way we do it. Or some people will argue with him and say, you're not supposed to do it that way. And the dude will be like, well, if I'm not supposed to do it this way, then tell me how to do it better.
Yeah.
Show me why.
But there's a lot of creative things you can do, particularly on social media. Like maybe you see somebody posts a picture of like a dirty car or something, and you go, hey, if you want that cleaned, I'll give you 20% off or something like that. And
Here's
interaction, getting your name out there. The business will flow as long as you are putting in the effort to get out there.
Here's one that I've seen work really, really well with the lawn care guys.
Yeah.
You'll see the guys go around and they'll identify a house that's got like overgrown weeds, everything, right? And they'll go up to the door and they'll say, hey, noticed your place is overgrown. I was wondering if you need some help. I'll do your yard for free.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be able to film it and put it on my social media.
Yep.
And boom, they get a lot of business because they give away some of their work.
Yeah,
and they do a good community service. One dude got arrested actually for doing that.
I've seen that.
But imagine how he blew up because of that.
Yeah. I had a lawn care business when I was 15. It was called Scott's Lawn Mowing. You grow it, we mow it. That was my tagline.
There you go.
I had about 8 customers. It was great.
And now all your customers are in the weed business. You grow it, we smoke it.
That's it. That's it. I got a lot of weed clients. All right, what's next?
Would you need insurance to be a dog walker?
That's a good question. I don't think you need any insurance to do dog walking, particularly if you do it through like Rover or WAG or some kind of app. I think if you start your own dog walking business independently, it's probably a good idea to have some type of general liability insurance just to protect yourself. General liability for a business like that, very inexpensive, usually less than $1,000, but usually less than like 500. But you can just get a kind of a general policy.
That is actually a very good question if you think about it, right? Because so on the surface, we think of dog walking as, okay, I just go get somebody's dog and walk it, right? But gosh, what happens, right? If it gets loose or gets hit by a car or something like that. So I didn't think about it that way, but I don't know that I would personally want that responsibility,
Well, I think if you have some insurance, you're good there. And like I said, I think through those apps, you're definitely going to need something like that. Or sorry, if you do through the apps, they probably already have something set up like that. But if you're doing your own independent thing, yes, you should definitely look at some type of business general liability service. It's very inexpensive and it will pay for itself if something happens.
One of the coolest things I've seen in this regard, as far as what people do for their pets, is the pet sitting where they come and get the pet. Like they have these little buses, and then they have like treadmills on the bus.
I've seen those. Yeah, we've talked about that before.
I mean,
it is so cool. You see the dogs running in the back.
And I've seen the ones where the dogs like all know their place, so they run on the bus and they get in their seat.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah,
they get buckled in and everything, and then they're off to the dog sitter.
People will spend a fortune to keep their dogs entertained and relaxed.
There's one near us right up here, and we actually take Blue over there, at least once a month or so, and he loves it. We'll just leave him there all day long when we need a break, and he gets to go do his thing. And they did, however, kick him out until we got him fixed. Because he was at the point where he was trying to be a little bit too much of a lady's dog there.
Yeah. Your dog is crazy. Yeah. All right, what's next?
Let's see. At what point do you get rid of your main job for your side hustle? Is it strictly a time over revenue based decision?
It's a multi-factor decision, in my opinion. The first question is does the side hustle make enough money to cover all your expenses? And can you maintain both your job and the side hustle as the side hustle is growing? So there's going to reach a point where your business it just takes too much of your time and you have to jump in full bore, but it's got to be able to cover all your expenses too. Is it covering and replacing your salary basically?
Yeah, there's a lot of factors there. It depends on whether you have benefits in your regular job or not.
That's true,
because your side hustle is literally a solo small business.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I've had a handful of people come into the office just for a consultation to answer that exact question. We will look at the profit and loss of the business, how much it's generating, how much the cash flow is. And we take a look at their personal finance and their budget. And then we take a look at what they're giving up from their job, the opportunity cost there, what the potential is for the future of the business. And we just have a frank discussion about which way it's going to work.
There is something that happens when you do a side hustle, and it is that most of the time, and I'm going to say it like this, most of the people I know who do legitimate side hustles do not do good accounting. So they basically treat revenue as profit.
Right.
And so they're getting that extra money in, and then when they need money, they need to go buy something for their thing. They need more cleaning supplies or whatever it is. They take it out of their money that they made, at their regular job. And there's always a shortfall here and there, and they're not really sure where it's at.
Yep. Finances become too blended.
Right. And that's something that I would say to people, if that's a question that you really want to know the answer to, whenever you do a side hustle, treat it like a separate business.
Yeah. And your accountant can answer that at the end of the year when they're doing your taxes. Because, any side business goes through its own kind of Schedule C form. They can help you and answer questions. You can see exactly how much you made from your side hustle.
Now, I have a question. How many people who are doing what we would legitimately call a side hustle? Now, we said these are businesses, right? So not necessarily side hustles.
Each one of these can be a business.
They can be, and they can be a business. They can be a side hustle, right?
Yeah.
So I know side hustles is how we say it. But what are the odds that someone who has a regular job and is doing something on the side to make more money has an accountant and is thinking about that in the terms of a real business?
Yeah. So if you started if you're at the point where you're thinking like, hey, my business is getting to the point where maybe I need to quit my job, you'd better have an accountant at that point.
Now,
but if you're just doing it to make, 5 or 10 extra thousand a year or something like that, you don't really need an accountant. You don't need to pay somebody $1,500 or something like that to look over stuff and give you a thorough opinion. You don't need an accountant at that point. Most people probably don't need an accountant until they're with a side hustle, until they're at that question of, is my business doing really well? And do I need to think about transitioning full-time into the business?
Right. I had going back to the mobile car detailing, I had a guy come out in Midwest City. Now, he did a really good job. And And I got to talking to him a little bit, and he said him and his wife both do the mobile detailing, and they both had full-time jobs. And the reason that they chose the mobile detailing is because it was something that they could schedule on their own, and then they could handle all the supplies and everything.
Yeah.
But he said the thing that was so profound that I really liked from him was he said that him and his wife had a goal of being retired by the time they were 35, being fully retired, and then just traveling the world.
Yeah.
And so they said that they had together decided that they were going to do whatever it took to live frugally and bank as much money as they could and be debt free by the time they were 35.
With the right plan and enough motivation, about anything is possible.
Yeah. And
we got another question, Calvin?
Yeah. Let's see. How much do you have to make before you have to file taxes on a side hustle?
Oh,
$600.
If you get a 1099, if you make $100 on a side hustle, you technically need to claim it as income. Any amount of money that you get as income has to be claimed somewhere on your taxes. Now, you don't get a 1099 for a service if you make less than 600 was the old rule. Now it's 2,000.
Oh, they
less
went up?
than 2,000. Yep. So they went
I
up.
thought they went down to 600.
No. In 2026, it's going up to 2,000. I think it might even be 2,200. I'd have to look that up for sure. Yeah, it's down to anything below that, you'll no longer get a 1099. A lot of people think that if they didn't get a 1099, they don't need to claim that income. That is not true. If you make any amount of income, it has to be claimed. Yeah. Say something profound on that while I look this up.
Something profound on that?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that even when you trade with someone, you're supposed to declare that as income.
Yep, that's 100%
which
true.
I think is the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah.
I bought something, I paid taxes for it, right? And now I want to trade my thing with someone else, say a pool cue, right? I bought a pool cue, $100. I paid 10% tax, so 110 retail, right? You bought a pool cue for $100. We trade this pool cue, and now we have to assign values to this, and each of us are legally supposed to declare this as income.
Yeah.
And pay taxes again on it, or at least declare it as part of our income.
Yeah, I double checked it. $2,000 1099 NEC threshold. So if you make less than $2,000 for a service, you will no longer receive a 1099. However, you still have to claim your income no matter what you make. But yeah, that's a little screwed up that you have to do it on a trade.
Isn't it nuts?
Yeah, no, they don't like the bartering system when the IRS doesn't. You can't just be out here trading goods and services for other goods and services.
Yeah, it's
like
crazy.
Society intended.
Right.
Yeah, they got to get their cut.
And by that token, right, I imagine that almost every American has broken the law.
Oh, 100%.
Meanwhile, IRS agents are collectively behind about $50+ million on their own taxes because they just refuse to pay them. So there's that too. maybe they have a little bit of the thumb on the scale as to who gets audited.
Yeah, they know how to work the system.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
And they know when taxes.
Maybe their own files get sent to the back of the line constantly.
Taxes also fall off after about 10 years of not paying them. So
wow.
Yeah. Anyway,
except for Oklahoma. Apparently, Oklahoma's forever.
Oklahoma, most states are way more aggressive than the IRS. Everybody makes a joke about, oh, I don't want to mess with the IRS or I don't want to owe stuff to the IRS. Honestly, the IRS is pretty reasonable if you're trying to get things solved. As long as you're not committing fraud or you're not putting your head in the sand and try to evade the issue. If you are working with them and saying, look, I know I owe money. I promise I'm paying as much as I can. I'm doing my best. They'll get you on a payment plan. They will work with you as best as possible. The state are like assassins. They will come, they will shut your business down, they'll levy your accounts.
Yeah, but
they are monsters.
When I tried to pay taxes the other day, they didn't want to take my checks because we
Which
were a
is
few
wild.
dollars difference.
Wild. Yeah, you try to take a property tax check for like $8,000 and they were like, no, it's actually $8,050.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we can't accept this $8,000 check. You have to go back, get a new one and bring it.
Yeah, exactly. I was, and then she's like, it's actually the law.
Yeah, it's a law. They
And
have
I'm
to pay
like,
the
are
right
you
amount.
kidding me?
It's insanity. Yeah, a lot of little things like that. They're just they I think they set up all these systems because they want you to make mistakes. They want you to mess up because then they can charge more penalties, they can charge interest,
They can
and
take your property.
take your property and do all kinds of negative stuff to you. Yeah, it's a nightmare. Although, to be fair, it's why I have a job.
You should have came back and paid them in pennies.
I know they won't accept cash.
They won't accept that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The state governments can actually be like, we can't accept cash because we can't process
They'll accept
it.
a credit card for, and you pay a processing fee.
Yeah, of 2.5%.
Yeah. Well, that would be nice. It's like 4% now.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Good Lord. Yeah, well. Anyway, any other questions?
Nah, we're good.
That's
Or-
it.
I love the ones. Hold on, before we finish up, I love the ones that call it a convenience fee.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they don't accept cash, but they will accept a card, and they call it a convenience fee for not having to pay cash.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I have cash, so
Mm-hmm.
I have started to see some laws though where some states are now requiring retailers to take cash.
They should.
They should.
I love operating in cash. I like having money.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's legal tender,
Mhm.
So if in my mind, if you're gonna allow retailers to not take cash, then they also are not allowed to charge any kind of fee above the price
Right.
for that.
Right.
Because if I have cash, now the way they get around that now is they do this cash discount nonsense.
Yep. Yep.
But that's a whole other issue. We've talked about that before. Anyway, we're done for today for our live. Thank
Yeah.
you guys very, very much for tuning in. And just remember that a lot of these questions that you guys have, we go into a lot more depth on some of these issues on Turtlesmith. We have addressed them like in season 1, season 2. So if you can't find an answer, if you kind of browse through our website and our archives of videos, feel free to send us a message, and then we'll point you to a video or an answer that we've already put up, or we'll just answer it for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
And,
check us out. Oh, go ahead.
One last thing. Do we still have our business plan going on?
No.
No?
Turtlesmith.com. You can check us out at Turtlesmith OK on all of our socials. And we'll see you next week.
All right. We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.
I'm Scott Hess, tax and business consultant.
I'm John Barton, small business owner. Remember the tortoise and the hare? Slow and steady wins the race.
We started Turtlesmith to help people start small businesses, providing information and resources to small business owners and entrepreneurs.